LL Cool J's choreographer. He's toured, did choreography for Jay-Z. He's been with the Tops, still doing it right now. So I'm very proud of what I remember at the age of 16, told him if you work for, a white man, then you're not a man. You have to work for yourself. You have to do for yourself. You don't have no job, just over broke. And at 16, he had his own business. And now he has raised himself to a place where when you all have your own children, black, white, yellow, you're not a good parent until, how's that go, beloved mom? You're not a good parent until your child has reached 21. And then you're not a true parent until you reach like 30 or something like that. But if you can get a young black man or a young Native American or Latino brother up to that, and you still be alive to see your son at 25, he's still alive and he's not in jail, not been arrested, not playing around on drugs and so forth. And I can just go ahead and hold my chest out and say, hey, I've been a good parent. But it's on them, it's on him. And he took everything that I taught him, he factored it out. And I thought I was going to get to Radio City. He was at Radio City. I thought I'd get to Madison Square. He was in Madison Square. So every place I dream about going, that's what you want to see with your son. So son, I love you. You keep up the good work. You take it to the next stage. You're listening out for his album because he's working on it. All right. Love you. I want to give thanks to the beloved ancestors, to my family, and to my queen, Dr. Milani, sitting right here. Her book is ready. You just have to go to lulu.com, Lulu.com, and just type in Dr. Nalani, Nalani, and you will come up with the book, 7 Steps to Healing and Wellness. And that is her new book. And get it, because it is a definitive guide using the Kabbalion. Anybody who knows about the Kabbalion, you know about the 7 principles from mentalism through gender. And she breaks them all down, showing how each one of them can be factored into a science for your healing using essential oils, the highest grade essential oils. So I am very proud also of my queen for accomplishing something such as that, and being able to tolerate me and dealing with me every day, because I'm a chore to myself, so I know I must be a chore to somebody else. And thank you. Also, my book, The Wounded Womb, will be about 2 weeks after hers. The Wounded Womb started around 1990. That's how long this book has been in the works. It came out about 1994 in its first printing. And in 2006, I added another 100 pages to it and recaptured, because everything I said in 1990, and everybody thought I was crazy, has come out and come true. And so I had to do I Told You So remake on it. So hopefully we'll be having that after the next, say, 2 weeks, and you'll be able to go up on lulu.com and just type in Wounded Womb, and it'll be available. And the title to my program here today is called, and this is the Valentine Trilogy, as the brother said. This is phase 1 of the trilogy, which is going to be culminating at the Zulu Affair on Sunday at the National Black Theater. I'll be doing the 3rd in the trilogy. So the first of this will be called Cybergenetic Mind Control. And the reason why I'm calling it The Metaphysics of Cybergenetic Mind Control, the ongoing colonization of thought, is because everything that Dr. Shaka Zulu, and by the way, I'd like to say to all the members of the Zulu Nation, happy anniversary. and may you have another 32, another 100, another 200 years. Let the legacy move on. Let you help the consciousness rise, because I remember back in the days when the Boers were fighting the Zulu. If you ever were to do a derogatory thing like calling a European or a white a Zulu, they wouldn't be offended. They said, if you're going to call me a nigger, call me a Zulu. That's how much deep respect they had for the Zulu nation of people. And they didn't just fall by the wayside. I know Dr. Jeffries could give a more insightful understanding, and so could, Lord knows, Dr. Roslyn Jeffries give a deep understanding of the histories of Africa. But I knew, based on Getswayo and all the other chiefs that fought off the British and colonizers back then, that they didn't just fall. It took at least 50 to 60 years of warfare to try to bring down the Zulu nation. What you saw going on in Africa over the last years, or maybe 50 years, century, that didn't just take place. It took a while to destroy the Zulu people. And it had to do with a combination of things. But just to move forward, I'd like to hold this right here. And I would like to read off things first and then repeat it by doing the show. The title Cybergenetic Manipulation descends from the word cybernetic. And cybernetic is defined by the American Heritage Dictionary as the theoretical study and control processes of electric, mechanical, and biological systems, especially mathematical analysis of the flow of information in such systems. My intent here today is to show that we humans are all three of these things, electrical, mechanical, and biological, and that our cells, atoms and molecules, those are entities comprising our basic life functions, are all organized into mathematical, algorithmic behavioral patterns conforming to what are called cosmic synchronicities. Our atoms represent the electric, our molecules, the mechanics, and our cells, the biologic. Our set patterns of behavior forge electromagnetic neural pathways that become fixed templates that mold impressions and feelings from all subsequent thoughts and experiences, creating a catalog of conscious and subconscious responses. Many control systems that affect the brain and thus the behavior of individuals now exist as frequency disruptor systems subtly placed in everyday household items, utensils, and appliances that interact with the human electrical, mechanical, and biological systems. They are sophisticated cybernetic weapons used to effect cybergenetic control over the human population using neural electromagnetic frequencies that result in mind control. By influencing the signal output, reorienting your architectural nature, your cybergenetic spiritual grid system, I mean that you can teach the DNA to mutate in a manner that best suits the direction of behavior desired by the Illuminati. There are ways to teach your genetics so that your genetics can be what you would believe to be inspired behavior. In other words, you communicate with your soul, and your soul communicates with the genetics. Genetics then send those signals out to become the behavioral patterns that you would most normally align yourself to. Now they have frequency patterns to disrupt you at the level where your DNA will begin to coordinate or reorganize specific amino acid buildups. In other words, amino acids are signal processors. You can agitate the DNA and the process of making specific amino acids, the templates where the amino acids touch upon certain areas of the DNA. You can influence the making of the amino acids. So once you influence the making of the amino acids through certain electrical signal outputs, you can influence a person's behavior. And that's how they're doing it, through the music. The ability to crank up or deflate behavioral responses in the American populations was seen quite clearly when Bush effectively made himself Caesar and dictator absolute of the United States. Last month, effectively making Congress lords, with a 21st century fealty feudal system that was called the Military Commissions Act. Military Commissions Act was just signed. It gave him or the presidencies to follow complete Caesarship over everyone and everything in the United States, all business, all commerce, and that's what you are, business and commerce. Most of mainstream America are completely clueless of the fact that they are and always have been targets of experimentation and have no idea that they are influenced every day of their mundane lives by cerebral disruptive signals blanketing at times entire cities from remote locations. Most of us are unable to figure out whether or not any adverse psychological or physiological symptoms we experience have been created by non-malefic or non-poisonous or natural resources or malicious unnatural sources based in the shadow government. We have been effectively lulled into states of compliant, sub-responsive apathy by way of electromechanical, biopsychological weapons of mind control, emotional control, and genetic control. These highly sophisticated weapons are to forward the Illuminati's agenda dealing with the continuing colonization of thought. Now, we were going to speak later on about someone that I'm going to get into a little later. But as I go forward, just to give you a quick overview before we go to the videotape, so to speak. Presently, the NSA, or the National Security Council, has an electronic surveillance system that can monitor, follow, and affect millions of people individually and collectively. The mass media do not report that thought signals and subconscious thinking can be read by way of mapping algorithmic brain wave patterns through digitalization. Dreams can be affected and even induced, and all without the knowledge of the chip implanted individual or the microwave scanned individual. Also, that cyber soldiers exist, they do exist, and are now being deployed in Iraq as suicide drones. That this particular technology was around and used in certain NATO countries since 1980. Diminished blood circulation, as far as those who have chips in their head. You can tell the effects of the chips in their head by the diminished blood circulation and lack of oxygen occurring to the right temporal frontal lobes where the implants are usually placed. Right now, covert neurological communication systems are in place today to counteract independent thinking and to control social and political activity. This is controlled through the organizations dealing with the psychiatric arm of the pharmaceutical cartel and the shadow government. Implanting people has remained a state-guarded secret, high-level state-guarded secret, using psychiatry as a front to dismiss or explain away the behavioral symptoms and reactions of the victims who have been complaining. Psychiatry is not a true science. Psychiatry is simply following a pattern of template protocols, because those who are experimenting on the population know that people are going to react based upon their being chipped. So and we're going to get into that, a whole science has been placed to offset or to make you feel like you're crazy. Or if you were to go to somebody who's not down with the program, they already would go and say, okay, what are you suffering from? All right, let me go to my book and see what it is those symptoms mean. And because the symptoms have been set up in such a way by psychiatry, you will be thought of as being insane, or something's wrong with you psychologically that you need help and you need to be drugged. Victims of mind control experimentation are victimized a second time by being routinely diagnosed as mentally ill or by doctors who've studied their what is called, you'll see, Diagnostic Statistic Manual's symptoms list in med school. Scientific American magazine, we're going to speak about that just to give you a quick overview. Oh, let me just give you this. I'll tell you about the information that they got, but all the information that you're about to receive, what did they do with their information after they studied how your brain works being manipulated? What did they do? Well, they put the capacity to manipulate you further into the newest TVs, the newest computer screens, the newest laptops, and of course, mobile phone technologies. Mobile phones used for the purpose of mind control was a perfect idea. Military and police agencies can follow any user, influence their thoughts through microwave modulation, cause healthy people to hear voices in their head, and if need be, fry their brains in a second by simply increasing the current 30,000 times. This was done by the CIA. This is how the CIA killed the Chechnyan general Dudayev, who died talking on his telephone. Thus, if someone like you or I, under government surveillance with modern technology by way of TV, radio, telephone, loudspeakers, lasers, microwaves, poisons with mind-controlled drugs via office viaducts, given familiar smells to cause headaches, nausea, and so forth, if we claim our clothing is poisoned along with our food and tap water, all medical schools teach their students that you or I have paranoid, especially if we say the government's agencies are behind it. Beloved brothers and sisters, the ultimate goal of cybergenetic manipulation is to program each individual at his or her archetypal matrix of being, so as to coerce them into carrying out any act, even if it's against their moral will and self-preservation instincts, and to control the absolute behavior and thought patterns of the individual. The purpose of mind control today is to disrupt the collective archetypal memory of humankind, to disrupt the spiritual evolutionary potential of the collective one consciousness in man. Let me say that again. You have to understand there's a larger agenda, and Saturday, tomorrow, in Brooklyn, I'm going to be dropping the science of where, when, why, and who. How you are manipulated to the level that you are, and who are manipulating you, and why it is that we have not been, as humans, able to move to the next paradigm. Every generation that you see for the last 5,000 to 6,000 years has been stuck in war mode. We've been stuck in doing nothing but fighting one another, stuck in killing off one another, stuck in trying to get a job, trying to get food, we are still stuck in a mode that has not moved forward in the idiom of humanity. We as humans look the same. For the last how long? Maybe a couple of million years? What is holding us back from moving to the next species paradigm? What is beyond the human? They say death is beyond the human. No, it's not. What is the structure human? The human structure. What is this human structure after this whole paradigm has become perfected to the state that you can't do nothing else with it? Is this all there is? No. But the reason why you can't get to that stage or even imagine yourself beyond this shell is because of just what we're about to talk about. And this is just the first stage of the trilogy. Tomorrow, with Brother Black Dot back there with Moon Productions, and that's another brother y'all need to get into. He has the book, The Matrix of Hip Hop. Y'all need to read that. That is the seminal information. That is the seminal information for hip hop. The whole science behind it. Brother Black Dot. Y'all need to give it up for this brother. Again, let me definitely talk to you and let you know the purpose of mind control today is not just to get you to walk around robotic. Y'all do that anyway. It's something else. You all have been made into a food source. But you don't understand the kind of food you feed it to the people that's manipulating you. Tomorrow we're going to get that deep. Today we're just going to lay the groundwork of how they're playing with your brain. Again, let me just state for the record. The purpose of mind control today is to disrupt the collective archetypal memory of humankind. I don't know if you can get to that and try to deconstruct that inside of the consciousness that you now possess. They are trying to disrupt the collective archetypal memory. Archetypal means the first memory that you had when you came out with the Big Bang. That's right, that's how old we are. Man didn't start as no knuckle-dragging ape. That's the biggest illusion and lie. What they're reading is a devolutionary cycle in the human strain. You don't start from a slug. The lesser cannot create the greater. Let me say that again. There's no such thing as evolution the way they're playing on you. The lesser cannot create the greater. Only the greater can create the lesser. Thus, all of these Neanderthals and Zinjanthropus and all this crap, that's crap science. You didn't come from any of that. That's what was devolved. Those were the accidents. Those were what left over after the great cataclysms. With the great manipulation, the genetics. The playing around with the strain. That's not where you came from. But they will tell you that. Now, I'm going to speak about some things that have to do with our science, and there's going to be something that I want to speak to you all about, which is deep, and I can tell you that there's something you need to look up when you do a Google. Do a Google on the secret covenant. And it's www.unveilingthem.com. Unveilingthem.com. And after you go unveiling, UNveilingthem.com/secret covenant, COVENANT. And that's capital secret, SE, capital S, and capital C. .htm. But when you read the secret covenant, you will understand that what they're doing, all different vectors, will let you know. And the more you read it, the sicker you're going to get. Okay, it's like reading the Protocols of Zion. And that's another book I suggest you read. And don't get all caught up on the Jew thing, because you take the Jew out of it, and it's everything that's happening today. In fact, it ain't even a Jew, it was a Jesuit who wrote it. Let me just give you, for instance, the secret covenant. An illusion it will be, so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it will be thought to be as insane. Now, I know y'all don't think I'm insane. I may be crazy, but I'm not insane. 1, we will create separate fronts to prevent them from seeing the connection between us. 2, we will behave as if we are not connected to keep the illusion alive. Our goal will be accomplished one drop at a time so as to never bring suspicion upon ourselves. This will also prevent them from seeing the changes as they occur. Yes. Listen carefully. We will always stand above the relative field of their experience, for we know the secrets of the absolute. Nobody studies metaphysics. When you study metaphysics, you study the secrets of the absolute. Because they got you speak, they want you to go to medical school. Med school is essentially a pharmaceutical, drug-pushing program. 4, we will work together always and will remain bound by blood and secrecy. Death will come to he who speaks. We will keep their lifespan short and their minds weak while pretending to do the opposite. What are we doing here? We will use our knowledge of science and technology in subtle ways so they will never see what is happening. We will use soft metals, aging accelerators and sedatives in their food and water, also in the air. They will be blanketed by poisons everywhere they turn. The soft metals will cause them to lose their minds. We will promise to find a cure from our many fronts, yet we will feed them even more poison. The poisons will be absorbed through their skins and mouths. They will destroy their minds and reproductive systems. From all this, their children will be born dead, and we will conceal this information. The poisons will be hidden in everything that surrounds them, and in what they drink, eat, breathe, and wear. Tommy Hilfiger. We must be ingenious in dispersing the poisons, for they can see far. We will teach them that the poisons are good, with fun images and musical tones. They will look up. Those they look up to will help. We will enlist them to push our poisons. We will see our products being used in film and will grow accustomed to them, and they will grow accustomed to them and will never know their true effect. When they give birth, we will inject poison into the blood of their children and convince them it is for their help. We will start early on when their minds are young. We will target their children with what children love most, sweet things. When their teeth decay, we will fill them with metals that will kill their mind and steal their future. When their ability to learn has been affected, we will create medicine that will make them sicker and cause other diseases, for which we will create yet more medicines. We will render them docile and weak before us by our power. They will grow depressed, slow, and obese. And when they come to us for help, we will give them even more poison. We will focus their attention toward money and material goods, for they will never connect with their inner self. We will distract them with fornication, external pleasures, and games, so they may never be one with the oneness of it all. Their minds will belong to us, and they will do as we say. If they refuse, we shall find ways to implement mind-altering technologies into their lives. We will use fear as our weapons. I just wanted to stop at that point. It goes on. 70 items in the secret covenant. "70 items in the secret covenant." Can you all still see it? Okay. Metaphysics of cybergenetic manipulation, mind control, and the ongoing colonization of thought. Definition of cybergenetic. It descends from the word cybernetic, again defined in the American Heritage Dictionary as the theoretical study of control processes in electric, mechanical, and biological systems, especially the mathematical analysis of the flow of information in such studies. Now hold that for a second. The theoretical study of control processes. The key word in here, control processes. Keep going. Humans are all three aspects. We are electrical beings. We are mechanical in our movements, because there are certain movements we cannot do even with our bodies. And we are, of course, biological entities, biological animals. Our atoms represent the electric, our molecules represent the mechanism or the mechanics, and our cells are the biologic. So, as we move up the chain, of life, we find at the essential level that the atoms are the essence. They are the intelligence within the cell. Outside or out of the cells, we grow the molecules, which then fix the intelligence into a specific pattern or specific design template to bring about whatever actions that intelligence wishes to accomplish on the material plane. And of course, our cells are that intelligence. All patterns of behavior in humans, from the electrical, mechanical, and biological, are under the governorship of your brain. Which means that the brain is the governor. And there can therefore be controlled, manipulated, and overridden by way of the brain. Remember, everything is under the governorship of your brain. And therefore, if you can manipulate, control, or get control of the brain, you got the human. Many control systems that affect the brain, and thus the behavior of the individual, now exist as frequency disruptor systems, subtly placed into everyday household items, utensils and appliances that interact with the human electrical, mechanical, biological systems. They emulate or emanate subsensory signals. The reason why I said subsensory is because it's below your central threshold. It is below the threshold of your ability to say, wait a minute, what is that? Hold on, something funny is happening. So it's in the subconscious realm. It is the superconscious realm. They emanate subsensory signals of physiological and psychological disruptive frequencies, which create negative systems overload in the human brain, thereby causing dysfunctions in human thought, human feelings, and our overall physiological well-being. These technologies constitute sophisticated cybernetic weapons used to effect cybergenetic control over the human population, utilizing neo-electromagnetic frequencies that invariably result in mind control. Mind control. Now, everybody say, oh yeah, mind control. But baby, a lot of people don't even know what they're talking about when they say mind control. It's become such a tossed about term that most mind control people use it trying to think that people who are really sane and know the frequency are being mind controlled, when they're the ones being mind controlled. Which is why I use cybergenetic, means the ability to influence the signal output of human DNA to reorient the archetypal human's psychospiritual grid system energies within the genes. Now we have a psychospiritual grid system within the genetic structure. Of course, when you go to college and try to study genetics, they're not going to tell you about this. You're going to say, oh, well, they got this time, you got this amount of amino acids, and you got these different templates that make up this chain, and they go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They ain't telling you nothing. They're not telling you who you are as a creation of cosmic intelligence. They never in school tell you anything about the intelligence behind what you're studying. Because if they tell you about the intelligence behind what you're studying, you don't want to know about the intelligence. So in Western science and in school, it's just about keeping you on the surface. Teaching you on this rather than in this. Because if you taught you how to get into it, then the on this you would understand is superficial. Now listen carefully, everyone. In 1974, a pioneer in the field of mind control, one Dr. Jose Delgado, then director of the neuropsychiatry at Yale University's medical school, author of the book Physical Control of the Mind, 1969, in a congressional testimony, now listen carefully, brothers and sisters, in a congressional testimony done in 1974 before a closed panel, this is what he said to Congress. We need a program of psychosurgery for political control over our society. The purpose is physical control of the mind. Everyone who deviates from the given norm can be surgically manipulated. Now, this is a man who stood before your Congress, and these words were spoken. We need a program of psychosurgery for political control over our society. The purpose is physical control of the mind. He's saying this to your representatives. They're not our representatives, but anyone and everyone who deviates from the given norm can be surgically manipulated. This is Dr. Delgado with one of the bulls that he mind controlled with a chip. He got it to stop. It was starting to charge him, and he hit a button and the thing stopped short. Listen to what he says. The individual may think that the most important reality is his own existence, but this is only his point of view. What happened to the rest of that? Listen carefully. Man, this is him, this is Dr. Delgado still at this place. Man does not have the right to develop his own mind. Let me read that to you again. Obviously you're not paying attention. Let's say that slow. Wondering if anybody heard what I just said. Man does not have the right to develop his own mind. This kind of liberal orientation has great appeal. This is why we must electrically control the brain. Someday, armies and generals will be controlled by electric stimulation of the brain. Guess what, Pete? It's already being done. The cyber soldiers are over there in Iraq right now. This is where you may find, you think I was just saying and making this up. Here's where you can find the speech. In the congressional record, how many people taking political science? I guess not. Well, you need to, just to check this out. Could be something to go to your teacher, taking political science. Come up and say, I want to do a thing on the congressional record. Can I do that? Oh, sure. And then come up and do this one. They'd be like, okay. Be something to teach, right? The very first brain implants, here's a little history on your implantation, Pete. The very first brain implants, surgically inserted, were done in 1874. Could you imagine? 1874? 1874 in the state of Ohio, as well as in Stockholm, Sweden. Now that's why you know why you lost the election in Ohio. Probably got everybody chipped over there. In 1946, brain electrodes were inserted into the skulls of babies. In 1946, without the knowledge of their parents. In the 1950s and 60s, electrical implants were inserted into the brains of animals and humans, especially here in America, during research into behavior modification and brain-body functioning. Look at the dates, Pete. 1874, 1946, 1950s and 60s. Could you imagine what mind control must be like now? Oh, you're going to get a little taste of it before you finish today. They were mind controlling back there in the 1800s, back when they were wearing the funny clothes. With the big tall top hats, they had them then. This is a brain interface computer chip. You could be placed right here at the top part, wherever the area in the brain that needs to be controlled, Wherever that area is, you can place a chip or a signal disruptor or a signal processor in that area, and giving the specific amount of electrical juice, you can get that person's arm to start flicking, eyeballs to start rolling in their heads, or you can get them to kill. Fareed got his spine busted. He was getting out, putting money in. He put all his money into cloning. See, nobody knew about that. And he was trying to get parts of his spine cloned from specific cells, but it was so bad he couldn't have it done. But right now, covert neurological communication systems are in place across America to counteract independent thinking. To counteract independent thinking and to control society or social and political activity. Listen carefully. Scientific Magazine said, after the millennium, this is in Scientific Magazine, September 1999. Listen carefully. After the millennium, plans are on the way to implant all people with a DNA microchip. I guess y'all done heard everything. This don't get to you, does it? Y'all don't feel the fact that your body don't belong to you anymore, your mind don't belong to you anymore. Nothing belongs to you, not even your emotions. Get yourself a nice little thought. Maybe you want to get a thought about, you know, making love, having sex, doing all kind of things. That ain't even private no more. It probably register on somebody's screen. About 40 years ago, brain implants began showing up in X-rays. The size of 1 centimeter. Listen carefully. It began showing up in X-rays the size 1 meter. So they shrank them down to the size of a grain of rice. Then they got even deeper. They were made of silicone and later of a substance called gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide. So they were coming up, that same kind of, that same chip that you saw, it was that big, they shrunk it down to the size of a grain of rice. But then they even got deeper. There's your chip. How many people used to look at the X-Files? Because they used to drop that in there. There was one part in there where they got Dana. They had her in the back of the neck, and they got Dana good. And they were telling her, clocking her, tracking her, and killing her at the same time. Slowly but surely. So now we're going to run you through cybergenetic manipulation and mind control through the different ID chip sizes. This is the chip itself. Now, right here you have a coil that compresses the signal. Over here, well, better yet, just to give you a shot of what it looks like so you can see it first. The one that you saw him holding up, this is it up close. This is it broken down. Now they even have a serial number for this one. So if a specific signal pattern comes up when they clock you, they'll know what make and model chip you got. Or the make and model that your child got when you go for the vaccination. How many people got little children? Say like maybe anywhere between a month and 3, 4, 5. You should just stay away from it, period. The vaccinations, they can put them in there. Now there it is, the similar charging circuit, sealed lithium power module. Lithium can be recharged. You want to know how they recharge the battery that's inside of that? Your bloods, the electrical signals in your body recharges it. So it can stay in there until you die. and be giving off a signal, because your body continues to recharge the battery. They got a 510 compound. Then they have a shift regulator, accumulator, non-volatile plate. And what they don't tell you, did anybody see Mission Impossible 3? Yeah. Mission Impossible 3 brought an old technology up where they had the chip that has an explosive device that you could plant right up into the nostrils, and it's in an area that once it hits, it shuts you down instantly, dead. And it's a small explosive device that you could set, or you could set off with a microwave blast on a certain frequency. Temperature released, anti-something radiation imprint. I mean, anti what, babe? Migration. So,
personality model.
No, I'm down here. So what you have now is an emitting antenna. Look at this. This thing has an emitting antenna. Sophisticated technology. Okay, go ahead. Here it is again. There's your 1.5 centimeter. Look at the size of it. Go ahead. Another shot of it next to a Canadian coin. Next to a penny. Smaller than a penny. But wait, it gets even deeper. Oh, it done got deep, didn't it?
Yeah.
That bad boy could probably go through a hypodermic. They can stick it to your clothes. They can put it in your food. They can put it in your teeth when you go to the dentist. They can put it under your fingernails, girls, when you go get yourself groomed up. They can stick it with an ant. The ant got it in its mandibles. Wait a minute, do you know how small a damn ant is? And it's smaller than the ant? Is everybody still awake? Oh, does anybody really give a damn? They can even put the damn thing on the top of a roach head. They have insects that they can let into your house, and the insects can clock your movements. They can pipe a roach. Chip a roach, release it into your home, and yeah, so you better clock every roach you got there. And you better make sure you're killing that sucker outside of the walls, because if you kill him in the wall, he's still going to be broadcasting. They chipped a damn roach. Bring that back. They chipped a damn roach. Look at that. I mean, they ain't got nothing to do. There's hunger in the world, pollution, bad education, but they got time to do this. Everybody got a television with all these different channels. Have you ever scanned the television to watch all the superficial bullshit that's on there? And I know all you all look at your E, and you like to read your source and want to find out what everybody's doing. Let me tell you something about trying to find out what somebody else is doing. Why the hell you want to look at somebody who's making $10 million and got a golden damn toilet bowl? What are you fascinated about somebody else's success for? You live in a vicarious experience. You live in somebody else. You are looking at what might be for you. That's mental masturbation. That's you playing with it in your brain. And then you go back and say, did you see what Jay-Z had? Who gives a rat's ass what Jay-Z has?
That's right.
Jay-Z ain't giving you nothing. And you worried about what they look like. And then the biggest crap that I ever heard was the one that we heard about Britney Spears. Britney Spears and her Bad Boys series. Who gives a shit? And then standing there at the supermarket to look at the crap that they want you to be interested in. Instead of getting into the God that you are. You're worrying about the godless that's in them. Now, this is the different particulars around the technologies of getting this. This is why I say stay away from vaccinations. Vaccinations are going to be what they've been doing over there in Africa now, chipping the children. Especially in the Sudan, every place they go in to help. They create conditions so that they can set up the people. Now you see all the Africans in the middle, in the Sudan, all these places, they talk about, look at the poverty, the developing world. What developing world? Ain't nobody developing that world. You were busy for the last 150 years destroying it. That's why it looked like that. And then you got some Christians walking up there, giving a pot of gruel to some children. Some slop. You ever see what they give to the children to eat? And they say, well, we're helping. No, you're not. That's mind control. And then you eat, they have the children, they tell you that the children be eating that gruel, and at the bottom it says, Jesus is your Savior. At the bottom of the damn bowl that that child is eating, it says, Jesus is your Savior. But Jesus came and effed up the place.
What?
Where's that name derived from?
Jesus, Jess. The word Jess, it's Phoenician, means the sun. And then it came from Jesus as well. Yeah, of course, but we want to deal with the word itself, Jesus. Jesus Christus. Christus from Krishna. So there was no Jesus Christ. There was a man named Apollonius of Tyana, yeah. But there was no Jesus Christ. And if he did live, he was a revolutionary. It was Huey Newton. When nobody walking around, you know, love your brothers and shit. Bring it down, shut it down. That's what he said. That's what you crucify somebody for. You don't feed 5,000 people. Where the hell were they when they were crucifying him? He fed 5,000 people. That's an army of people that wasn't eating until he took 5 loaves and 2 fishes. 5 loaves and 2 damn stinking fishes, and 5,000 people ate. And where the hell were they when they were crucifying him? He never existed. Don't believe the hype. That's mind control. Biggest mind control today is your religion. Warning! Do not receive an IV biochip in your right hand or forehead. This fool is. The new thing today with the executives, because guess what? The separation between the haves and the have-nots is getting so deep that the haves are going to chip themselves, because you know what? They're going to think we're snatching them to get their money now. The King of England, Queen of England, microchipped Andrew and the rest of the family, so that a satellite can pick up Andrew any place if they snatch him. They had a thing on the television. They had a thing on the television where some idiot on Today's show actually went and got a microchip put into them saying, oh, everybody should get a microchip. And they said, well, why are you doing this? He says, well, for the convenience. See, we all want things easier. Well, I'm doing it now because I see that my mother, she has Alzheimer's and she might wander away, so I'm going to chip her. Well, then the baby, man, your little baby might get snatched. Let's chip the little children. Well, they started with the dogs to see if it works. Yeah. They chipped the dogs and the cats and all of them to try it out on you. The sheep, like the brother was saying. The 1,000-headed ass. Of course, they have the smart card. Everybody's going to be getting that. And check it out. It's called vein reading. Because your vein is going to act as the transducer of the signal where they stick it. And if you think that's just a drawing, here's your smart card, your full name, embedded microchip. The microchip, of course, connected right here inside of the zero part. Wherever you see a zero, that's where they're going to put the microchip. So you're not going to see it. Recent photograph, expiry date. The US ID. Now, as of 2007, which is next year, it's supposed to have been 2012, but because now they may suspend the next election with your president, King George, he himself now will declare himself total king of America because, remember, we are in a financial crisis, and any kind of crisis right now, under the the Commissions Act, they can call martial law. And they got, right now, they have the trains. There are 3-level trains right now. 3 levels with 1 door. And they saw them right out here upstate, going upstate to, was it Poughkeepsie, one of those areas? It's a train, it's 3, we've ever seen a 3-story train. And inside they have shackles. They're getting ready to caught all of the useless eaters. That's us. And people. They got the code red, orange. When they talk about these oranges and red and so forth, careful, because the yellow, orange, and the red, these are code numbers, code colors for the people they're going to exterminate. One is to exterminate immediately, the others is to put into camps, the others are to be used for blood before they're exterminated. In 1996, they imported 1,000 guillotines. For you young people who don't know what a guillotine is, that's that stuff that they chop your head off with. Where you put your head through it, stick the thing down, and they lower the boom. They imported 1,000 of them into this country. Just a little while ago, they had an order from the United Nations for 800 million body bags. 800 million body bags. The thing to do right now, the plan is to kill something in the avenue of 2 to 3 billion people. First with color, off this planet. And they're doing a thing called Rewilding America, where they're going to be starting to import within the next 10 years elephants, lions, and they're going to be cleaning people out of the areas in the bush. They're going to put a super highway right through your country. It's going to be, how many football fields wide? Something like 10 football fields wide. Going right from Mexico straight through the middle of the United States up into Canada. 10 football fields wide. This fool went and did it. That's an actual x-ray of a man doing what? Anybody know can anybody say Book of Revelations? Can anybody say Revelations 13? That's a real photograph of a fool with a chip in his hands. And I'll read it off to you. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in the right in their foreheads. You could be in their right minds. So essentially, I'm showing you proof that this practice, though it's happening with the elite, will soon have a other significance for people who are going to be amongst what we call the useless eaters. Barcodes such as these have already appeared in some Midwestern stores. According to researchers, the F in the barcode is for forehead and the H is for hand. And according to researchers, the purchasers must have a mark in the right hand and forehead before purchasing. Wait a minute. Hold on there. You mean it's happening now? Yes. They're experimenting out in the Midwest at this point. Look at your barcodes when you eat. You just grab your stuff and throw it down for them and just pass it. Boop, 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 boop. You ain't paying attention. You just want to get out of there with your food. But read your barcode. If you have a chip in your forehead and you swipe your card or give an eye scan, it will read off and say, oh, his identification is in the forehead. Because whatever it is, the signal output of the one in your forehead will tell them it's in your forehead by what the machine will say. If it's in your hand, it'll give off another signal. And then the H will go off. But then it will tell you that you can't pay for this item with a hand chip. Or you can't pay if you got a forehead chip, because maybe the forehead chip is for the brothers and sisters in the hood. And what are you doing in this store? You can't buy here because you got a forehead chip. You got to buy down in the hood, where we got all the diseases and the clothing. Oh, you think I'm saying, well, I see, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, longer than sometimes some of y'all been born, I was saying this, and I was the insane one, crazy and nuts. And now I'm seeing the young brothers are picking up the science and moving it forward. But see, my insanity is clarity. There's a difference. I used to sit down and talk to the people talking to themselves that you would pass up. Because those are the ones who dropped out of society. Could you imagine a person remaining sane in this insane world? Do you know what it takes for you to adapt? You have adapted to being insane, and you have a veneer of sanity. The person who is the healthiest one, who reacts to this insanity, is the one who's reacting insane. He's healthy. You're sick. Why? Because you pretended to be sane. How could you be sane in this insanity? And y'all need to be following me in this trilogy, because I'm going to show you what happened to you. And you know something? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a hint to come. Not all of y'all are human. Oh, yeah. Oh, not all of y'all are human. Y'all may not even know that y'all ain't human. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brother Valentine, you done lost it today. Talk about it, brother. No. See, y'all, you don't understand. Not all of you all are human. Not all of you all have a soul. Oh, baby. Woo! 3 billion of you all on this planet don't have a soul. And it cuts across all so-called racials. I call them the hollow walkers. And we're going to get into them. When are we going to get into them, baby? Tomorrow or no, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, the hollow walkers. That's what I call them. You ain't going to hear them, man. Go ahead. I think it might be Sunday, too. The NSA, the National Security Agency Signal Intelligence Monitoring System, or SIMS. What? What's the section say? Yeah, but wait a minute. What does that say to sense again? An educated consumer is our best customer. You see, what is education? The systems monitoring, the intelligence monitoring system can remote monitor the information of a specific human brain by decoding what is called the evoked potentials emitted by the human's electromagnetic cerebral output. Evoked potentials. An example of the effect of an implant can be shown through an MRI scan revealing diminished blood circulation and lack of oxygen to the right temporal or frontal lobes where implants are usually placed. As mentioned earlier, covert neurological disruptive systems are now in place to counteract independent thinking. This is controlled through black ops organizations dealing with the psychiatric arm of the pharmaceutical cartel of the shadow government. Implanting humans has remained a high-level state secret by using psychiatry as a front to dismiss or explain away the behavioral symptoms and reactions of victims who complain. The shadow government and the AMA, or the American Medical Association, has issued a protocol book entitled The Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual. This is a real manual. The Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual, printed in 18 languages. See, this is how you control the human population. By making sure that you have a book telling you what's crazy behavior. So this is crazy behavior. What you're doing here is insane. You're sitting here listening to reasoning and logic that can free you from the matrix. So anything you do to implement that in an insane world, you start acting sane in an insane world, or reacting insanity to an insane world, you'll be clocked. Because why? They have the Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the PDSM, to go and refer to. Nobody has any, and I see, this is the thing. I already said that the hollow walkers are here. I didn't tell you that they're the ones walking amongst you that would use that, because you see, the hollow walkers don't know what a real emotion is, because since they have no souls, they don't know how to interface with the higher spirit. So they don't have no feelings for you. But I can't blame hollow walkers, because they're the next step in their own evolutionary cycle. What's our excuse? See, we got 3 days to just discuss this. This is to take you to another space so you can get out of this paradigm nonsense about trying to get your get your bachelor's, and then you got to work to get your this and that. Some of the dumbest MFs go to school. You go into school, you get stupid. You don't have no clear thinking. You lose common sense. This is the psychiatrist's Bible, used to officially cover up the secret development and deployment of mind control technologies by labeling their effects, for example, as symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia. How many times you've heard that one? Nice. See, paranoid schizophrenia only came up after the chipping technology became more rampant. They needed a name. They say, well, you can't ask any psychiatrist. Well, they ain't no real true schizophrenics. They can't really clock a true schizophrenic, because they don't know what a true schizophrenic is. They don't exist. They do exist essentially when you go into and you open up yourself to bringing in orishas. Back in the days when we used to drum, use the psychotropics, open up the mind, and go through a channeling with the ancestors or with the orishal spirits. But that's not what we're talking about here. They're talking about a switching up into altars. Altars are not altars where you go on to worship. I'm talking about ALTERS. See, Bush is an altar. Bush was a monarch baby. What is a monarch baby? A monarch baby went through a certain kind of mind control. This was the mind control where you take an infant from the time they're 2 or 3 and you do things like rape them. You beat them. After they get to a certain age, like 6 and 7, you saw monarch mind control in a movie called Soldier. Get that movie called Soldier. They took the front part of it where they were training the young boys to become these cybernetic soldiers. You're sick. Why? Because you pretended to be sane. How could you be sane in this insanity? And y'all need to be following me in this trilogy because I'm going to show you what happened to you. And you know something? I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a hint to come. Not all of y'all are human. Oh, yeah. Oh, not all of y'all are human. Y'all may not even know that y'all ain't human. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brother Valentine, you done lost it today.
Talk about it, brother.
No. See, y'all, you don't understand. Not all of you all are human. Not all of you all have a soul. Oh, baby. Woo! 3 billion of you all on this planet don't have a soul. And it cuts across all so-called racials. I call them the hollow walkers. And we're going to get into them. When are we going to get into them, baby? Tomorrow or no, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, the hollow walkers. That's what I call them. You ain't going to hear them, man. Go ahead. I think it might be Sunday, too. The NSA, the National Security Agency Signal Intelligence Monitoring System, or SIMS. What? What's the sentence say? Yeah, but wait a minute. What does that say to SIMS again? An educated consumer is our best customer. You see, what is education? The systems monitoring, the intelligence monitoring system can remote monitor the information of a specific human brain by decoding what is called the evoked potentials emitted by the human's electromagnetic cerebral output. Evoked potentials. An example of the effect of an implant can be shown through an MRI scan revealing diminished blood circulation and lack of oxygen to the right temporal or frontal lobes where implants are usually placed. As mentioned earlier, covert neurological disruptive systems are now in place to counteract independent thinking. This is controlled through black ops organizations dealing with the psychiatric arm of the pharmaceutical cartel of the shadow government. Implanting humans has remained a high-level state secret by using psychiatry as a front to dismiss or explain away the behavioral symptoms and reactions of victims who complain. The shadow government and the AMA, or the American Medical Association, has issued a protocol book entitled The Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual. This is a real manual. The Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual, printed in 18 languages. See, this is how you control the human population, by making sure that you have a book telling you what's crazy behavior. So this is crazy behavior. What you're doing here is insane. You're sitting here listening to reasoning and logic that can free you from the matrix. So anything you do to implement that in an insane world, you start acting sane in an insane world or reacting insanity to an insane world, you'll be clocked. Because why? They have the Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Manual, the PDSM, to go and refer to. Nobody has any, and I see, this is the thing. I already said that the hollow walkers are here. I didn't tell you that they're the ones walking amongst you that would use that, because you see, the hollow walkers don't know what a real emotion is, because since they have no souls, they don't know how to interface with the higher spirit. So they don't have no feelings for you. But I can't blame hollow walkers, because they're the next step in their own evolutionary cycle. What's our excuse? See, we got 3 days to just discuss this. This is to take you to another space so you can get out of this paradigm nonsense about trying to get your, okay, get your bachelor's, and then you got to work to get you this. And then some of the dumbest MFs go to school. You go into school, you get stupid. You don't have no clear thinking. You lose common sense. This is the psychiatrist's Bible used to officially cover up the secret development and deployment of mind control technologies by labeling their effects, for example, as symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia. How many times you've heard that one? See, paranoid schizophrenia only came up after the chipping technology became more rampant. They needed a name. They say, well, you can't ask any psychiatrist. Well, they ain't no real true schizophrenics. They can't really clock a true schizophrenic, because they don't know what a true schizophrenic is. They don't exist. They do exist essentially when you go into and you open up yourself to bringing in orishas. Back in the days when we used to drum, use the psychotropics, open up the mind, and go through a channeling with the ancestors or with the orishal spirits. But that's not what we're talking about here. They're talking about a switching up into altars. Altars are not altars where you go on to worship. I'm talking about ALTERS. See, Bush is an altar. Bush was a monarch baby. What is a monarch baby? A monarch baby went through a certain kind of mind control. This was the mind control where you take an infant from the time they're 2 or 3 and you do things like rape them. You beat them. After they get to a certain age, like 6 and 7, you saw monarch mind control in a movie called Soldier. Get that movie called Soldier. They took the front part of it where they were training the young boys to become these cybernetic soldiers. They took one of the children at random, put him into a glass cage with 3 hungry dogs that weren't eaten for a week. Covered him with a little bit of whatever it is, threw him in there, and had the children watch that. This is what your president went through. Monarch mind control. He was brutalized, and the thing is that when you go through certain types of mind control, in order for you to psychologically survive, the mind fragments and fractionalizes. So the specific reality you're participating in right now, your brain can leave it and create a place that you could go to where you will not feel the pain or experience that experience anymore. Well, they now know how to control the fractioning process. They know what causes the brain to fragment. They know how to make it fragment so that they can create an altar and then program the altar to become a killer, or in the case of women, to become a whore. For the big presidents and so forth, all they got to do, if you have a manager or a handler, all he has to do is say a word to you and your altar flips in.
Was that on what on?
That's it.
Yeah.
You saw that movie there and how they played him up. Now you showed, what they were showing you was another version of the monarch mind control when they got the soldiers and told them, there, go ahead and shoot him, boom, okay, thank you. So murder and things of such heinous natures that your own conscience would not allow you. The way that monarch mind control, it disconnects the soul from the physical body. Okay? Victims of mind control experimentation are victimized a second time by being routinely diagnosed as mentally ill by doctors who use their diagnostic statistic manuals as a symptoms reference guide. The following is an actual excerpt from the Psychiatric Diagnostic Statistical Handbook 4. Check it out. I'm giving you everything so you can go ahead and check it out for yourself. Give me a minute. Everybody got that?
These and 4.
The 4, it says. They revised it. Okay, there's your registered trademark, the whole 9 yards. Thank you. And there's also that little piece that you saw there is like the primer for another situation. All right, here is your psychiatric symptom complex from the manual itself. Sections. Absent. Listen to what they're saying is psychiatrically what could turn you into a crazy person, that they will put you and lock you away. Every natural reaction that another person, a healthy person can give you can also be tabulated. Absent or abnormal social play in infancy or childhood. Some genius children don't even play with certain other children because they ain't even on their levels. But they've clocked you to say, well, at 3, you're supposed to do this. And just like vegetarian babies who have problems with the doctors, well, that child's supposed to be at least 40-something pounds. Well, they develop slower. Why do they develop slower? Because they're not eating foods that's agitating and stimulating their bodies into an unnatural spurt of growth. So now your child is somehow deformed or deficient because as a vegetarian baby or a fruitarian baby or a vegan baby, you don't eat the same way. So therefore, you're not stepping up with the cattle, so this must be something wrong. Aggressive behavior. Hey, anybody mess with my woman or my family, I'm getting aggressive. And if all of you all are so pacified that you see this jackass in the White House is getting away with all he's getting away, and you're going to stay passive, something's wrong with you, you're supposed to be aggressive. But now they're telling you that your aggressive behavior is psychiatric symptoms index. I don't know what this, I don't know if anybody can tell me what that is, I don't know. Antisocial behavior. Now, antisocial behavior, if there's anybody antisocial, it's the police. Can we classify them? Huh? Look at what the brother was talking about, how these so-called rappers are out there playing up antisocial behavior. Why ain't they classified in a what do you call it, suit? Right. Look at this. Anxiety and apathy. The government has now, Homeland Security has now issued an alert stating a yellow, orange alert. Wouldn't that make you anxious? But again, if you got anxious, so everybody in the theater, everybody's walking around like this. I have no emotions. I'm not anxious. I'm fine. You're melting inside. Anybody ever saw that movie? And I'll tell you, go see it. Just look at the veneer of the people. It's called Invasion of the Body Snatchers. How did you have to be an invasion of the body snatchers in order to get by? You can't register any emotions. Anything human. Appetite disturbance. Hey, I may have a problem. I don't want to eat that night. Avoidance behavior. Hey, I don't like 9/10 of the world. I'm avoiding it. Avoidance behavior. Binge eating. Blunted. What is that? Smoking some toke? You blunted now? You're constricted effect, catatonia, cross-dressing, decrease in energy or fatigue. This society got you working 23 hours a day. You barely get sleep. You're constantly under some kind of electronic stimulation. You got to meet deadlines, and now they tell you that the effects of all the crap they tell you to do is a decrease in energy, got you now put up under psychiatric delusions, depersonalization or derealization. See, all of these, very quietly, brothers and sisters, is what you need to be doing in order to get out this paradigm. Anything that they tell you not to do, look in the other direction real quick to see whether or not they're hiding something from you. Depressed mood, disorganized speech, incoherence. I know some brothers and sisters can't speak worth a damn.
Some of these rappers.
True that. Distractibility, elevated mood, euphoria. I'm happy now. That's a distortion in my effect. Elevated mood. Happiness is a sickness today. Feigning of symptoms. Flight of ideas. What? What is a flight of ideas? They're covering everything that you would feel when you are wanting to disengage from this sickness. Grandiosity. Hell with them rappers putting all that stuff and shit all in their faces and got all this stuff weighing them down in front. This grandiosity, ain't that a sickness? Grossly disorganized behavior? That's me. I'm a candidate. Hallucinations, hypersomnia, impaired abstract thinking. Hold on, wait, listen. See, abstract thinking is what you need to do to get out of here. They don't teach you abstract thinking anymore in school. So they tell you impaired abstract thinking. Now they tell you how not to think abstractly. Listen, oh, this is too deep. First in school they don't teach you how to think abstractly. So you develop not being able to think abstractly. Then when it shows, it's called impaired abstract thinking. Now you're crazy. Oh, Steve, it's deep. Impaired judgment. See, everybody going into the stores nowadays buying the crap that they eat, and that's impaired judgment.
Yes.
Yeah. Inability to maintain attention. Oh, baby. Poor concentration. Go ahead. Increase in social, occupational, or sexual activity. Indecisiveness. Indifferent to feelings of others. See? Here it comes. Indiscriminate socializing. Oh, baby. So you can't meet new people. Insomnia. Interpersonal exploitiveness. Irritability. Oh, I don't know what the labile effect is. Memory impairment. Paranoid ideation. Physical complaint without general medical explanation. So, here's how they clock their own, they watch their asses. Physical complaint without general medical explanation. So, to keep those who are on the frequency from letting those who don't know, or keeping those who aren't on the frequency to know about the chip, if you don't know how to clock a physical complaint that doesn't have this, you think the man is crazy. So if the chip is causing me to act and feel a certain way and there ain't no medical explanation, hey, check it, you're crazy. Pressured speech, psychomotor agitation, restlessness, psychomotor retardation, repeated lying. Oh, Bush can be a definite candidate. Restricted travel away from home, self-induced vomiting, self-mutilating behavior. How many of y'all got earrings and punctures all over your body? All right, so you are crazy. Nipple piercing, I guess, and all of that. sexual dysfunction, social isolation, speech difficulties, suicide ideation and suicide attempt, weight gain and weight loss. Wait a minute, weight gain and weight loss is crazy? Aggressive behavior, agitation, anxiety, apathy, avoidance behavior, binge eating disorder, catatonia, delusions, depersonalization is still there. Depressed mood, derealization. What the hell is derealization? Depressed mood, desire, depersonalization, desire for food. Come on. Anybody hungry? You crazy. This is in the manual. Next. Keep going. What is this? It keeps coming over. A recent example of cybergenetic manipulation, one who has flown over the cuckoo's nest and made it to the public scrutiny was, listen carefully everybody, your brother, Houston. Oh, listen carefully everybody. Y'all didn't see what happened. Y'all missed it. You missed it. You missed it with Houston. How many people here heard of Houston? Okay? Young boy, raised in the Christian faith. That's all he knew. He was super Christianized. Went everywhere with his Bible. Told him everything is evil outside of the Bible. Okay? Good looking young man. Kind of looked like my son. Felt for him. Hit it. According to his bodyguard, listen carefully, Houston is going through spiritual warfare now. It's like good versus evil, he said. After dinner at the hotel, he went to his room to read the Bible. He is an avid reader of the Bible. This is his bodyguard speaking. But listen carefully. Houston is going through spiritual warfare now. He said again, Marco said again, after I finished eating, I went upstairs to check on him and noticed blood on the floor. Houston usually has really bad nosebleeds. He had a towel over his face. Nosebleeds are part of the signs of chipping as well as going through some kind of aggressive mind control. Children, young people who have nosebleeds have high blood pressure. It's a high blood pressure that's based upon being or having been suppressed in their emotions. Not being allowed to say what they need to say. Not being allowed to express themselves. So what happens, that repression begins to take on a physiological expression, which is to raise the blood pressure, affect the liver, affect the heart, affect the kidneys, and the nose bleeds to offset the pressure. Just like when you have steam coming through a valve, when the pressure builds up and that liquid starts coming through, that's exactly what happens when you nosebleed. So here you have a young boy, raised super Christian, saying that everything in the world was evil. Reading the Bible every day and taking the words verbatim. Reading the Bible without understanding that the Bible is not a book written about any damn person that ever lived. The Bible is a book of science. If you go back into understanding that the words like Isaiah, John, all these names are actually names put together with words that have specific numerological meanings. The numerological meanings putting together gives you what that influence mathematically means in the scheme of infinite mind and the intelligences and the forces that you call orishas and so forth. Each one of these so-called people who lived in the Bible represented a specific force or condition or principle or protocol of cosmic intelligence. And our ancestors were so intelligent that they could mask science inside of a story. And you did not understand it. And you see, we were story-teaching, storytelling people. We could tell more. You can learn more from telling a child a story than you could putting all this mathematical crap down there for him to actually imbibe. So our ancestors learned from the right brain, not from having to browbeat the left brain. So what our young people like yourselves are here to do, to learn, you're learning here sitting down like here. You're supposed to be under trees, under the sky. Like our ancestors had you out there breathing fresh air, not sitting behind this crap. This is the worst thing you could do to the human brain. I'm sorry I'm here doing it to you. With your ass planted in the seat, you get tired. Oh, and when did this man go shut up and get to the next point? If you're outside, you can be distracted by fresh air, the breezes, and your mind is snapping because you're in with nature and you're feeding directly from nature. Houston really had bad nosebleeds. He had a towel over his face after I got him and noticed him. Something just told me it was more than a nosebleed. I pulled the towel off his face, then I saw that he gouged his eye out. But wait, he gouged his eye out and he showed no pain and had no remorse. Now, hold on a minute. You got a young, successful black boy. Some people ain't ready for success. But could you imagine if I just poked my finger in my eye? No, just think about that for a minute. Get something sharp and just kind of tap it under your eye right here. Right? And just the idea right now of putting it next to your eye got you shivering. This boy took it and dug his eye out. Hit me. He said he had to do it. Whoa! He said he had to do it. He said that had freed him from everything. Woo! Wait a minute now. See, if it didn't happen to one of your own age group, y'all be thinking, yeah, well, yeah, right. But it happened to one of y'all. A young boy, successful, said, hell with it, stuck a knife, scissors, whatever, in his eye to tear that out. He said what? That he was
happy.
He said he was happy after that. He had said that act had what? Freed him from everything. Freed him? Understand, when somebody says that I am free, it means that they knew they have been in bondage. They have felt that they were in bondage. That something about their lives kept them in lockdown. And whoever they were not free to express themselves or be who they were. We find out that the parents were spending all his money any damn way. And his family was leeching off of him, that the boy didn't have dime the first. After all these platinum records, was up for Best New Singer of the Year, Best New Performing Artist for the Year, and you ain't got no money? And now you're saying you gouged your eyes out, saying you had to do it, that it would free you from everything, and that you'd be happy after you gouge your eyes out. He said, wait, he was changed, and that he was ready to go. He was on, listen carefully, the 13th floor of a hotel in England, ready to jump off. Can somebody tell me what is wrong with that picture? He said he was on the 13th floor, or the bodyguard said that they were on the 13th floor, and he was about to jump off the 13th floor when he grabbed him. What's wrong with that? If you can't tell me, I won't tell you right now. Say it again? There's no 13th floor. You're dealing with a cult. There are no 13th floors in certain buildings because it was unlucky Remember, they did that 13 unlucky number because that's when they killed off de Moray during the Knights Templar, and it was on Friday the 13th. So they always tabulated 13 and Friday as an unlucky number. But again, he said he was changed. He dug his eyes out and he said he was ready to go. That symbolic statement basically freed him. This symbolic statement, and understand, the symbolic statement was, I am going to take out my eye. And that the symbolic statement basically freed him from all the pain he was in. How could a boy about 23, 24 maybe, be in that much pain doing the best thing he wanted to do in all his life? What was his pain? Was he told that the evils of the world were his pain? Because that's part of the programming of Monarch, to get you to feel guilty for you not being like God. Most Christians will tell you, most of the, not the Christians who got their mindset, career, and collect, but the Christians that are out there following along, you can't talk with them reasonably. Let's have a discussion about Jesus Christ. Can you tell me something about his life? And I don't mean when he was a baby in the manger, because guess what? They're about to do the manger. There's a whole $10 billion movie about the nativity coming up. They give you the little baby, and then there's a whole gap missing, and they got you at 12. And then there's a whole gap missing, and then he's 33. What happened after that? Or what happened before that? Now, since the universe is endless, and he supposedly rose up 2,000 years ago into heaven bodily, based on the vast expanse of the universe, is he still rising? Where's heaven? How did he get there? Did he go in the speed of light? Was he picked up? Nobody's answering. You can't ask a Christian questions that, well, you don't believe. So if you don't have the faith, you can't understand. Well, no, I want to understand. But you see, I also was given reason. I was given logic to think. Who's this man that I don't know nothing about? I know Heru, but who is this Jesus? That's the biggest mind control black people got going right now, and they don't even know it. And they've been using that pimp mentality from Creflo Dollar, TD Snakes, all of them. All of them are pimps, psychological pimps. They can talk a good talk. They can get you to dance. But that's a waste of your psychic energy. That's a waste of your psycho-spiritual power. Because once you got them African peoples dancing and screaming and singing, raising Kundalini energy, now you're sucking all of that energy out of them. That's the very energy you need to get up and free your damn self. So you can have heaven here on earth and not wait for some bullshit heaven after you die. I defy any preacher to come toe-to-toe with me and explain what the hell he's doing in that Bible. I put the call out to all the preachers. And people who know me know I put it out there on the radio, on the television. Please tell me, somebody, come step to me. And with my facts, I want to find out what the hell it is you're doing every Sunday. With all the goddamn money, you got a bank at the back of the church. So that people can go to the ATM and give you hard-earned money. $55 billion goes into the church of black money. $55 billion. We got it back. Have you seen anything? I see a brand new Cadillac. No, even Cadillac. Cadillac is out now. It's either Benz or Royce. You are being mind controlled. Your religion is to keep you in lockdown. Your science is to keep you in lockdown. Your education is to keep you in lockdown. Your everyday life keeps you in lockdown. Your speech keeps you in lockdown. Everything is based on light control lockdown codes. You don't even know who you are. You're being told who you are. Next. He said he feels a little bit closer to God now. He said he felt closer to God. Is this how you feel? Closer to God? The boy took his eye out.
Well, the Bible tells you to cut.
Whoa, here we go. This young boy stuck in his eye to take it out. And what did the Bible tell you? And if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. It is better for thee to enter into life with one eye rather than have two eyes to be cast into the hellfire. Mind control. Mind control. You are mind control. Just like every time you got 50 Cent. That's what they sold hip-hop for. They sold hip-hop for 50 Cent. And you buy them. Get your birthday. I like Stevie's better. You have to understand that 50 Cent and this game and all these thugs, they ain't fighting nobody. Your real heroes were the Hueys. And your real heroes are the ones who really went for something. See, he didn't tell you about the Black Panthers. All they show you was the Black Panthers with the guns. They didn't show you them feeding children in the community. All these lunch programs you see children getting today in school, the Black Panthers started that. You want to mind control anybody? You want to tell your children anything? You shut the goddamn TV down. Your children don't have any more imaginations because why? They got Pokemon running all through it. A child is supposed to create something from inside out, not to be created or motivated or manipulated from something outside in. I was raised in the West Indies and I had a damn box and a wheel. I didn't turn out so bad. I had a damn box and a wheel. And if I was lucky after it rained, I could put together some popsicle sticks and then run down to the gutter and float the bad boy. And watch my creation float down, catch it right before it goes to the drain and run back up further again and do that. But my mind was working constantly. I was trying to do things based on how nature was showing me how to interface with her. But now you got your child stuck before that goddamn TV and you all are seriously, definitely being sucked dry of your energy because now you got them pods. But guess what, iPod? Look at the movie again, like I told you, go check the movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and tell me how them body snatchers got to Earth. In pods. Let me say that again. How many people got iPods? Put your hand up. Put your hand up. All y'all got pods. All y'all got pods. A pod is a seed. And what does a seed grow? It grows whatever that seed is meant to be. What's in an iPod? They got music. What's in the music? They got everything in there, mind controlling your brain. And they stick it right into two places that are the conduits for the mind control. Right down in your ear. But that's all right. It sounds good. See, when I'm talking about mind control, I'm only scratching the surface when I show you things like this. It's only scratching the surface. I can only give you a certain amount within this period of time. Whatever comes after this is for you to get up and find out for your damn selves. I've been at this 30 years. 30 years. Back then, I was really out of my mind. People would cross the street when I'd walk down the street. Yeah, they would walk across the street. Oh, here come that crazy nigga. That's all right. Because my insanity was sanity. They just didn't recognize it. And now I'm trying to pass that same kind of unrecognized sanity on to you. Passing the torch. It's going to be difficult. You think it's gotten bad now? Give it another 3 to 5 years when we're heading into 2012. That's a science. Reason why he did what he did, because there are implant sites around the eyes. But nobody's talking about that. They're called legend implants. And what's a legend? Legend is a story, isn't it? The eye tells the story. Why? Because it's the windows of the look out. That's where he probably had them. And what was he saying again? I am free. I am now happy. Why would a person who just dug his eye out be calm? Wait a minute now, listen to me. Why would a person who just stuck a knife or whatever in his eye and punctured it to pull it out, why would he be now calm? Because he was being tortured. The boy was being mind controlled. Now, anybody could come and tell me I was wrong, but they got to show me the stats and show me where I'm wrong. And don't tell me you don't got 50 and you got all these other moguls. What the hell is a rap mogul? What the hell has he done for anybody but himself? Oh, he's putting back to what? He's going to Africa to do what? To do what? What the hell would Jay-Z do in Africa? Probably pass on the CD. Mind control. This young boy. At another time, I stopped him while attempting to jump off the 13th floor. Now, I just said that, didn't I? I stopped him while attempting to jump off the 13th floor. What's wrong with this picture? And the majority of hotels have a policy of not having any 13th floor. Where was he that it had a 13th floor? And if he tried to jump off the 13th floor, and there was a 13th floor, know that on the 13th floor, that's where they did their rituals. And if he probably tried to jump off the 13th floor, they were probably trying to do rituals with this boy. He tried to kill himself. Well, this is serious. See, these people play at sorcery. They use your own sorcery. They use a whole other kind of magic. They use magic in such a way that you've lost because they've shut your soul energy down. If they shut your soul energy down, you can't interface with nature so that you can do your magic. But see, since they don't have any souls, they got to use different types of technologies to emulate soul magic. But the Hollow Walkers got you. You have no clue. From Houston manager Rankin and Rowe. Listen to what he said. Houston has a sickness. There's nothing to hide. We took Houston to a where? Oh, the story's unfolding. We took Houston to a psychiatrist while the family remained in denial. He was treated at where? One of the big top places for mind control, UCLA's medical center. Go ahead. In September, Houston was hospitalized. We had to cancel everything from October to the end of the year. What?
He was diagnosed as schizophrenic. What else? What else? He's a soldier. DSM-4.
All of the symptoms you read before, schizophrenic is the #1 thing that will clearly give you as a diagnosis when you're chipped, mind control or otherwise. He was supposed to be on treatment and on medication. But we had clearance from his family and doctors to work half the time. Why? Because them family were lechers. When they went to his home, the boy was living like he was in some kind of, ghetto, people were living all over the floor, sleeping on the floor when the people walked in. This man is a superstar. His home is looking like trash was here, dirt all over the... What?
So who was that again?
Houston.
No, it's Houston.
Who?
He said, I think it was 2004, his record was out.
Yeah,
What's his name?
It's called I Like That.
I like that.
Oh,
the dancing rap type.
Yeah.
Sure.
Him. Go ahead. He was out of control, just doing things, what? Off the wall. Things that, what?
Normal people don't
Normal versus
There's your clue.
do. What is normal?
What is normal? They've defined what normal is by telling you in the psychiatric manual. Go ahead. Look at this. Remember the psychiatrist symptoms complex. Anxiety, irritability, depressed mood, paranoid ideation, impaired judgment, abstract thinking or impaired abstract thinking, and physical complaint without general medical explanation. 6 conditions for mind control. Hold this thought. So now you're understanding where we are going now with this whole mind control scenario. For mind control to be successful, there are 6 situations you have to deal with. 1, you must control a person's perception of time. They got you controlled. When you got a job, what do they say you got a 9 to 5? How is it that everybody can actually identify with the words 9 to 5? Because everybody has a clock in them, wired into them for managing their lives. You're going to get a job just over broke. A job is a 9 to 5. Create a sense of powerlessness. We do. That's how we are. We keep talking about power. We ain't got no real power. What power do we have as a collective black people? None. So we can pretend we got power, but we do not have any power. 3, manipulate rewards, punishments, and experiences to suppress old social behavior. Manipulate rewards to enlist new behavior. Must be tightly controlled system of logic. Persons being taught thought reformed, yes, that's a very nice clinical word, thought reformed or re-educated, must be unaware that they are being programmed.
What do they call it?
Put that back, please.
What do they call the television shows?
Programs.
Classical condition.
Okay, which part do you want?
It's right there.
The last, okay. Must be tightly controlled system of logic. Persons being thought reformed must be unaware that they're being programmed. Oh, baby. We good? Okay. Now, as far as controlling time, the time that you must control is thinking time. How do you control thinking time? Brothers and sisters, who's going to school here? Okay. How do you know when class is over?
Bing.
Bing! You're being mind controlled. That is a classic mind control utility tool. When the specific programming is over and they want you to switch to another mind, bing! Bing! See, you could be in a stream of thought ready to get into some deep reasoning and bing! It shuts you down. Yes. You see? Go ahead. By the way, there's some serious graphics and stuff done exclusively by my queen, Dr. Nalani. Give it up for her. Artistic genius. Get people away from normal support systems. Provide, and it took us out of Africa. Provide models for behavior. Look at it. They got the white woman for the black woman. They got the alpha white male for the black man. These are your models for your behavior. Use of locations, circumstances, and activities the person is unfamiliar with. Lord knows they put you in the education system. You ain't got nothing to do with that. It's good for you to be educated so you can be acclimated. There's a difference. Education, acclimation, indoctrination. All of them are the same. Manipulate social rewards, intellectual rewards. Rewards support positive self-concept for conformity to new thought system. In other words, when you reward somebody, you reward them when they start acting mind controlled. When they begin to conform to the specific programming that you want them to be conformed to, reward them. Just like a dog. Pavlov learned this and he passed that on. You reward somebody for that. So if a rapper says, I'll kill you, put slick slugs in you, and take your woman and do this to her too, and all this crap bullshit, he gets what? $10 million. Rewards. And that's another thing. How is it that that reward system now turns into a psychological behavior? Well, look at the brothers that's standing out there, ain't got no job, ain't doing nothing that's anything positive in the community. If you step on their Timberlands, I mean, these things look like they just got stepped off the store. The guy's walking around in Timberlands, it looks like they ain't never been used. Now, I already made this as an example. How are you going to get a work shoe that look like you don't work? Think about that, man. Now, that's psychotic behavior. If you're going to wear a shoe that was meant for you to go out there and do work, but if a scuff gets on it, you take it off. A scuff now, you take it off and go buy another one at $100 or whatever it is. The mentality is you are sick because you are supposed to stand there as if money is, and there's rappers sticking money coming out their pockets. They ain't got shit for shining. They ain't got nothing. They don't have anything. They are using money as a lure for a behaviorism. Punishment. Attack persons' self-concept for nonconformity. In other words, people who want to think outside the box, attack them. Make them look like they're stupid. Brother says, I'm going to pull my pants up. I'm not going to pull them down anymore. Well, what's wrong with you? What you trying to be? Anything outside of the box, you attack. Instead of looking to say, well, why did this man pull his pants up? Must be something different. What's on his mind? Tell me, why you pull your pants up? We're wearing them down here now. But no, you ain't wearing them right. See, it's just those little things. I may be using that as a what do you call it? But that's just that little thing. Where in this control of external feedback, the group or handler becomes the only source. There are no reality checks. That's when you know you're in deep, deep doo-doo. When there are no reality checks. Behavior is rewarded. Participation, conformity to ideas, behaviors, zeal, personal changes. Behavior is punished. Criticizing independent thinking. Non-conformity to ideas and behavior. Now you say, well, hey, the rappers are thinking independently. No, they're not. They are formatted to a control module, and they're telling them how to create a specific behavioral matrix in the children in the population who are very open and very susceptible to impressors. So no, they are not thinking or independent. That is what they're making you believe is independent behavior. It's very controlled. Punishments are peer group criticism, withdrawal of support, affection, monies, isolation, and negative feedback. The person becomes dependent upon the group or handler for external validation of social identity. So you start looking to people and groups for approval.